Good evening, and welcome to this Plantation Council meeting of May 25th. It's now called to order. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Andrew.
Here.
Councilmember Fadgen.
Here.
Councilmember Moreland.
Here.
Councilmember Sortle.
Here.
Mayor Stoner. Here. City Attorney Ezra.
Here. Tonight's opening remarks will be provided by Councilmember Fadgen. Go ahead, take it away.
If we can start by standing and having a moment of silence for the 19 kids and the 2 teachers that were taken from us yesterday. Thank you. If you can remain standing, I have a prayer. Almighty Father, we thank you for your continued abundant blessings upon this great city, state, nation, and upon all of your people. We ask that you bless these proceedings and all who appear before this council tonight as we deliberate the important business of the city. We pray for the families and friends of the 19 innocent children and 2 teachers who needlessly died yesterday, that your promise will console them in the darkest moment of their lives. We pray that with this tragedy, that all people take a moment to reflect on the preciousness of life and take a moment to tell their loved ones how much they mean to them. For all this, we ask in your holy name, amen. I also invited some scouts from Troop 406 to come on up to lead us in the pledge. So come on up and then turn on that speaker there.
I don't need the mic. It's fine. Good. This way? Oh, yeah. Well, I was going to speak to the audience. All right. Please bow your head and remove your covering if it is your custom. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. Oh, okay.
I just wanted you to all introduce each other and tell me what your rank is. Go up to the speaker.
My name is James, and
Last name?
James Hempel, and my rank is tenderfoot.
Okay, great.
My name is Joseph Hempel, and my rank is first class.
My name is Sarah Gomez, and my rank is star.
My name is Lydia Gomez, and my rank is star.
My name's Casey Crowder, and I'm second class.
My name is Lucas Hudson, and I'm star.
All right. Thank you for coming. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
I was an Eagle Scout, so I want you all to get your Eagle Scout, and I want to come to your court of honor, so I just challenged you. Thank you so much.
Let's follow 6 affiliated with. What school? Are they based at a school or something?
I do apologize.
What school? What school?
Oh, we're not charged with a school. We're at a church.
Which one?
First Baptist Church in Plantation.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And we meet at the fire station. Thanks to the chief.
Item submitted by Mayor. Mayor, I'm going to take the liberty of moving our presentation by Jeff Ambrose, our actuary, just to the back of the proclamation, just because of the audience and because of the time of the meeting. So you're up straight away with the...
You want to do HCA first? It's up to what? Are you here?
She is.
How are you? Good. I'll introduce Myron in a second. We have a proclamation whereas HCA Florida Westside Hospital, founded in 1974, has evolved into an award-winning 250-bed hospital recognized for providing a wide array of services to the residents of Broward County in South Florida and to visitors from around the world. And whereas HCA Florida Westside Hospital employs over 1,200 colleagues and 700 physicians, and whereas HCA Florida Westside Hospital specializes in emergency services, cardiac care, colorectal surgery, comprehensive stroke care, total joint surgery, minimally invasive and robotic surgery, neurosurgery, open heart and spine surgery, surgical and medical oncology, and provides high-quality, exceptional patient care to Plantation residents and the surrounding communities. Scares me a little bit because every time I see something that I know is targeted to me on Facebook, they mention all these diseases. So, whereas HCA Florida Westside Hospital is certified as a comprehensive stroke center by the Agency for Healthcare Administration, ACHA, and has received a thrombectomy-capable center certification from the Joint Commission. And whereas HCA Florida Westside Hospital is accredited in colorectal surgery by the Joint Commission and the American College of Cardiology Chest Pain Center. And whereas HCA Florida Westside Hospital is proud to be a teaching and research facility offering graduate medical education programs in podiatry, surgery, anesthesiology, and internal medicine. And whereas in 2022, HCA Florida Westside Hospital has received multiple awards from Health Grades as a top 5% performing hospital for patient safety, the Coronary Intervention Excellence Award, Stroke Care Excellence Award, and the Gastrointestinal Care Excellence Award. And now therefore, I, Lynn Stoner, Mayor, and the City Council of Plantation, Florida, do hereby proclaim May 25th, 2022 as HCA Florida Westside Hospital Caregivers Day. And we pay tribute to, we always get that. We pay tribute to the tireless contributions that HCA Florida Westside Hospital has made to Plantation's community since 1974. You betcha. So this is, what's your official title?
CEO.
CEO. She's good stuff. Barbara Simmons. And I think she has a couple things to say.
Thank you. So first of all, this is timely because it's May. May is, we've celebrated Hospital Week. It's Nurses Month. It's also EMS Week. So we celebrated that as well. So we just want to take the opportunity to thank all of our colleagues, plus the colleagues throughout the country that really have gone through more than any of us could have ever imagined the past 2.5 years, hung in there and took great care of our community. The other thing, just to put a plug, so Mayor Stoner mentioned our GME residency programs. We're proud to announce we're actually adding 4 more programs this year. So we are going to be the first hospital in HCA East Florida. We're going to have a neurology residency program. So we're going to have 4 neurology residents. We're going to be starting an OBGYN residency program, as well as an ER residency program to join our pathology, anesthesia, internal medicine, general surgery, podiatry. So we'll actually have 8 GME residency programs as of July 1st. So we're super proud of that. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh,
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Be safe.
President Anderson, while they're taking a picture, can I just also congratulate Ms. Simmons because, you know, I'm on the board of HCA University, so I had some intel, so inside intel. So you're also recognized as being in the top quarter of all HCA hospitals nationwide, and that's for care experience, team engagement, mitigating risk, and optimizing care effectiveness and efficiency. And I've spent personally so many days and hours, more than I should have, at your hospital. You know, I lost my mother several years ago, and I spent a lot of weeks at your hospital, and the care and engagement, it's truly there. So I thank you and your team for all that you do for our community.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I don't know that many of you know, but Barbara and I sort of grew up together. I went to her first wedding. Well, that's the only wedding. It's the only wedding.
That technically is her first wedding, that's correct.
She's been a long-time Plantation resident, and just like me, her heart is here.
Absolutely.
And we appreciate everything you do. You assisted us through COVID, our fire rescue, and
Thank you.
your were buds. Whatever you need, we're here for you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Chief Harrison? So, we have many conversations in my office on a variety of topics. And finally, the traffic component in our city just sort of boiled over with me. And we sat down with the traffic unit, and I said, it has to stop. I can't take it anymore. And it was on the advice of my daughter that we checked the speeds on Plantation Road. It was not on our radar. And when we saw it, boo. See, they never miss a chance to get me, which is okay. Oh, jeez Louise.
I didn't do that.
Wait a minute. Michael Alpert, did he leave? Stand up. Just so you know, Michael Alpert is also South Plantation. Oh, together with the corner over there is all. Now, Jennifer Andreu and I are Plantation alumni, you betcha. So we got a little different thing on this. Anyway, so we put a plan in place, actually your folks together, and there are 3 topics, and you need to help remind me. Education.
Enforcement.
Which is? Yeah.
The 3.
Tickets.
It's coming, Lori, it's coming.
Education, enforcement.
Okay. Well, we know what we have to do. I know that half of administration has indicated they will be out the month of June, so they don't have to drive within the city. But, so let me go with this proclamation, and then you can tell them what we're going to do. Okay, thank you. Whereas traffic accidents are the 8th leading cause of death globally and the leading cause of death for children and young adults between the ages of 5 and 29 years of age. And whereas each year more than 42,000 people are needlessly killed on American streets and thousands more are injured. And whereas while traffic accident-related deaths dropped slightly in 2020 as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2021, as we resumed work and social activities, traffic-related deaths increased 10.5%. These deaths include pedestrians, cyclists, and others who may have died during a crash. And whereas in Florida, teen drivers were involved in 59,300 crashes, resulting in 290 fatalities and 2,200 serious injuries in 2018. Florida has more than 400,000 registered teen drivers aged 15 to 19. Nationally, drivers aged 16 and 17 have the highest crash rates of any age group. And whereas one way to reduce traffic accident-related fatalities is to wear safety belts. In an effort to encourage wearing safety belts, the City of Plantation Police Department, along with other law enforcement agencies, will be participating in the Click It or Ticket campaign from May 23rd through June 5th. And whereas in an effort to increase traffic safety in our city and to encourage residents and drivers to develop safe driving habits, the Plantation Police Department will be stepping up education and enforcement efforts during the month of June. Now, therefore, I, Lynn Stoner, Mayor, and the City Council of Plantation, Florida, do hereby proclaim the month of June 2022 as Traffic Safety Month in the City of Plantation and urge all residents to take steps, including wearing safety belts and complying with the traffic laws, to ensure the safety of pedestrians, cyclists, and other drivers.
Thank you.
No, thank you. So tell them all. Tell them, scare them all.
So if you followed our Twitter account, we're continually putting messages on there more for the education component of this. Just recently we put the Click It or Ticket, crush your heart and plan to live, put your seatbelt on type of deal. We've got, we are letting people know that June is going to be a month where we're going to crack down on traffic violations. So we're trying to let everybody know ahead of time. I'm not going to give you a specific date. I believe the mayor knows that date, but there is a date in June that we're going to have a multi-agency task force here with over 10 agencies assisting us in the main thoroughfares of this city and reducing speeding in those areas. I would tell you the time as well, but I don't want to give that up either. But we've done a lot of things with our Twitter account. The stopping distance on a drive roadway, I think you've seen them all. But again, the education component to this is vital. The enforcement aspect of this is the very last thing for us to do. We don't want the enforcement part of that. Hopefully the people will get the message, they become educated, they slow down, and we don't have to write the citations. So, Mayor, I appreciate the proclamation. Thank you very much. And for all the residents out there, please slow down, pay attention, drive defensively instead of offensively.
Right.
And thank you very much.
Now, we're also going to post a link. Everybody says we're out there with a goal of dollars. We get $2 per ticket, and people need to see where the money really goes, and it doesn't come to the city. So they're going to educate you. So, all right, so let's move on. I've got a couple of service awards, and one is Yilun Zhu, 5 years with IT. Thank you so much for all you do. Here we go. Oh, it says GIS. You are mine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have anything you want to say?
Oh, yeah. I prefer. This is my first job, and 5 years ago, our GIS team had 3 people. At the hardest time, we were only 2 people, Ivan and me. I recorded the old apps, developed the new web map apps, and deployed the new GIS system. Now our GIS team is bigger and better. Thank you for all helping. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Stand up. This will be the new director of our GIS department, Yvette.
Mayor, you want to tell them what GIS is? Because that's
Oh, it's Geographic Information System.
geolocating our assets and things around the city.
Now tell them what assets are.
I'll tell you the first part.
And we all know this person. We know him as Phil Goodrich. We know him as Mayor 2. And he has 25 years of service in Park and Have your folks come up. We'll take a picture. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
You did a great job. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Did I ever think when I started here that I'd be getting a 25-year pin? Absolutely not. But I've been blessed. If you have a good family, you're blessed. And I've been blessed with having 2 families. I have the one that I have here at the city. Obviously, I have my children, my wife, that are here to support me anytime and everything that I do, and I can't thank them enough. Got some past employees, some current employees back here. I can't thank them enough as well for everything that they do, and they make me look good. I thank the council, this group especially. You have been more involved, whether it be phone calls, whether it be showing up at events, supporting us at events, talking positively, sometimes defending us social media-wise. I can't tell you how much it's appreciated by myself as well as the rest of the staff. Mayor, I can't thank you enough for giving me the opportunity to lead the department. At times you've challenged me. At times you've At times you've encouraged me strongly. Could also be considered a threat, but that's a different story. No, quite honestly,
We
no.
have candidates in this room. Do not say that.
That's not true. No, you've pushed us to try and always raise the bar and make things a little bit better for our community.
You have done that.
Well, thank you very much. So, again, I have my daughter here, Jenna, recent MBA graduate.
Jenna, come on.
My son, Austin, an Eagle Scout, and working on his degree, and my wife, Sherry. So, thank you all very much.
Okay. All right, let's do the pictures. Oh, double fisted here. You know what I say though? Look how short I am compared to everybody else. You're right. Yes, Ms. Coleman to come up, please. Thank you very much.
Principal Coleman, would you please come up?
Oh, yeah, I got 2 more.
Next, we have Principal Sharice Coleman Day, and the proclamation will be presented by Councilmember Denise Horland. Hey.
Well, many of you have heard me speak about what great things are happening in our plantation schools, and we have been so blessed. We have phenomenal educators and principals, and you know my children, as did yours, and yours, and yours, attend Central Park Elementary. And we've been so incredibly fortunate for the last 18 years to have Sharice Coleman there, and Mrs. Nabby for you. We've had phenomenal principals that have really made Central Park the best in the West. So today it's my honor to read this proclamation. Whereas Sharice Coleman was born on June 24th, 1960, sorry we put that in there, at Memorial Hospital in Hollywood, Florida, that was your sister, to Robert and Bonnie Coleman, arriving 5 minutes after her identical twin Patrice. And whereas Broward-born and bred Sharice met her significant other, Mark Bates, during her freshman year at MacArthur High School in 1974, and they were together until his passing in 2010. A life of public service was clearly modeled for their children, Corey, who is now serving as a firefighter paramedic in the city of Naples, and Sydney, who followed her mother into Broward County Public Schools and is pursuing her master's degree in speech and language pathology. I have to take this off because my glasses are fogging up. Whereas Cherise began her career in Broward County Public Schools in 1980, first as a clerk, then as a data processor, she soon realized she had a passion for teaching and pursued her bachelor's degree in education. After holding several teaching positions and also serving as a reading coach, Cherise decided to obtain her master's degree in educational leadership while continuing to teach full-time and raise her family. Whereas Cherise was first appointed as an assistant principal at Rock Island Elementary, and in 2004 came to the city of Plantation as the new assistant principal of Central Park Elementary. After 8 years of working alongside Principal D. Knabb, Cherise took the helm at CPE in 2012 upon Principal Knabb's retirement. And whereas Cherise is a familiar and welcoming figure in the car loop, using her bullhorn to get students inside the school before the bell rings each morning, she prides herself on running a school the community can be proud of while ensuring that students are safe in her care. She is active in every aspect of the children's education and encourages the continuing professional development of the staff. Cherise is highly regarded within the school system due to her extensive knowledge and her willingness to assist her fellow principals in making their own schools shine. She has truly loved every aspect of her career as an educator. And whereas, after 42 years in Broward County Public Schools, Cherise is retiring as a principal of Central Park Elementary. And whereas Cherise intends on taking a well-earned 2-week vacation to Yellowstone National Park with her children in July and a trip to Vermont with her education friends in October, relaxation does not come easy to her. In fact, most have never actually seen her do so because Cherise is always in motion. Her twin sister Beth said Cherise will be back out in the workforce by the end of the year. And whereas the City of Plantation acknowledges and appreciates Cherise Coleman's devotion to education and the well-being of children, we thank her for her 18 years of contributions in ensuring that Central Park Elementary remains the best in the West. Now, therefore, Lynn Stoner, Mayor, and the City Council of Plantation, Florida, do hereby proclaim May 25th, 2022 as Principal Cherise Coleman Day in the City of Plantation and call upon the residents of Plantation to join us in this important observance. So before I let Cherise say a couple of words, if you drive down Nob Hill Road past Central Park early in the morning, sometimes on the weekends, you see her car there. So she really will be missed.
Thank you, Ms. Holland. Thank you so much. So Ms. Deutsch is, I don't know if Ms. Deutsch is there. Did she leave? There she is. And Ms. Moore, you guys come on up. Ms. Deutsch was my little mentee for 8 years as I was a principal. And Ms. Mormon, Broward Teacher of the Year last year, so very instrumental in
Ms. Deutsch is the principal of Peters.
Yes, and now Ms. Deutsch is the principal of Peters Elementary. So I just honestly, 18 years, I cannot believe it's gone by so quick. So I will say that, one of the things that we always preach is that making great things happen. So that's our school motto. And without the parents, the students, the clerical, the custodians, the cafeteria, every single person, the city, you guys have done tremendous things for our city. The educational advisory boards, you all visit constantly and support us continuously. So all of us working collectively together has made great things happen at Central Park, as well as all the other schools and Plantation. So we enjoy the educational advisory board. We're happy that it's back. They've been very supportive in helping us, get back to things with the school. But honestly, it has collectively taken all of us to do the great things there. So I tell the staff our mission is to do what's best for our kids, keep high expectations, and whatever we can do for our students is what's most important, because without our students in the school, we wouldn't have jobs. So we want to continue to do great work. I know they're going to do great work. I told them, call me. I'm here. I want nothing but Central Park to be successful. It's going to be ready to go, so the person will just be able to walk in and kind of learn the culture. And so that's the thing. I'm really looking forward to it. And I'll be there to help them. They can call me. I'll come by. I want to volunteer. Hopefully they'll want me. I know people going, Ms. Coleman, okay, come back and be my budget keeper. Come back and go. Okay.
Coleman, I need you to give you some homework. Look up the word retirement in the dictionary.
It's not good. And Eric knows it doesn't happen. That's one thing. I do not know. That's just me. That's just my DNA. I don't know how to slow down. So, but thank you, everybody. Honestly, I really appreciate your guys' support, and I'm going to miss it.
Thank you for everything, Sharon.
Come on. Sure.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I'm
going to miss you.
I'm gonna. Oh, thank you. I'm gonna miss all.
You want to stay up here for this
I'm
one?
gonna visit. Don't worry.
I think we're trying to get Eric to have that job, right? Moving Eric to Central Park?
What, like years ago?
Can I ask the moms to remain action? Maybe to come up, please. I've never worn a T-shirt to a council meeting before, but for you, I did that. The mayor and I were talking earlier, and we invite Moms Demand Action here for the past several years to do this proclamation, and this year it's really difficult to do. I'm angry because we're not even 6 months into the year, and there have been 27 school shootings in the United States. I would urge you, after we read this proclamation, to look up this group. They're looking for common sense gun laws in our country. They're not looking to take anyone's guns away. But our law enforcement should not have to encounter 18-year-olds in tactical gear and with military-grade weapons. And more importantly, our children should be safe in their schools.
And their teachers.
And their teachers. Whereas, every day more than 110 Americans are killed by gun violence, alongside more than 200 who are shot and wounded. And on average, there are nearly 16,000 gun homicides every year. And whereas Americans are 26 more times likely to die by gun homicide than people in other income countries, high-income countries. And whereas gun homicides and assaults are concentrated in cities, and more than half of all firearm-related gun deaths in the nation occur in 127 cities. And whereas cities across the nation, including in Fort Lauderdale, are working to end the senseless violence with evidence-based solutions. And whereas protecting public safety in the communities they serve is a mayor's highest responsibility. And whereas support for the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens goes hand in hand with keeping guns away from people with dangerous histories. And whereas mayors and law enforcement officers know their communities best and are the most familiar with local criminal activity and how to address it, and are best positioned to understand how to keep our citizens safe. And whereas gun violence prevention is more important than ever as the COVID-19 pandemic continues to exacerbate gun violence after more than 2 years of increased gun sales, increased calls to suicide and domestic violence hotlines, and an increase in city gun violence. And whereas in January 2013, Hadia Pendleton was tragically shot and killed at the age of 15. And on June 3rd, 2022, to recognize the 20th birthday of Hadia Pendleton, born June 2nd, 1997, people across the United States will recognize National Gun Violence Awareness Day and wear orange in tribute to Hadia Pendleton and other victims of gun violence and the loved ones of those victims. And whereas the idea was inspired by a group of Hadia's friends who asked their classmates to commemorate her life by wearing orange, and they chose this color because hunters wear orange to announce themselves to other hunters when out in the woods. And orange is a color that symbolizes the value of human life. And whereas anyone can join the campaign by pledging to wear orange on June 3rd, the first Friday of June in 2022, to help raise awareness about gun violence. And whereas by wearing orange on June 3rd, 2022, Americans will raise awareness about gun violence and honor the lives of gun violence victims and survivors. And whereas we renew our commitment to reduce gun violence and pledge to do all we can to keep firearms out of the wrong hands and encourage responsible gun ownership to help keep our children safe. Now therefore, Lynn Stoner, Mayor, and the City Council of Plantation, Florida, do hereby proclaim the first Friday in June as National Gun Violence Awareness Day in the City of Plantation and encourage all citizens to support their local community's efforts to prevent the tragic effects of gun violence and to honor and value human life. And I'm going to ask our friends from Moms Demand to introduce themselves. They have a few things to say, and I think the mayor and or the chief might want to try now.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Again, I know our hearts are all heavy. it's very important to get this awareness out, and I do appreciate your support today. My name is Tanya Reed. I am the local group lead and a volunteer lead for Broward County Group of Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America. And I'm also a Plantation resident for over 25 years. I have raised my children here in beautiful public schools, and I would like to thank Mayor Stoner and the City Council of Plantation on behalf of Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America for issuing this proclamation declaring June 3rd, 2022 National Gun Violence Awareness Day. Although honestly, after the news from Uvalde, Buffalo, Milwaukee, and too many others in the past couple of weeks, if we need a proclamation to make us aware of gun violence, we aren't paying attention. The first Friday in June has been declared National Gun Violence Awareness Day, as we said, in honor of Hadia Pendleton. Every year, chapters of Moms Demand Action also support our local communities on that day. That is us giving back to the communities, working with the very important people that are doing the work in communities and have been doing for years, our violence intervention programs. Programs like Boys and Girls Clubs that give our children a safe place after schools, and have them meet mentors, even like going to Girl Scouts and to Boy Scouts. Those also are very important programs. It takes a village, as we know. So as this year, our Broward County group is holding a food drive for the Pantry of Broward. It serves seniors living on low fixed incomes and grandparents raising their grandchildren. Too many of these grandchildren are being raised by their grandparents because their parents have been taken by gun violence or they're incarcerated because of gun violence. We will also use this opportunity to provide information about our Be Smart campaign, which we spoke about not too long ago, about a month ago actually, which talks about the onus on the adults to safely secure weapons away from children. So, and easy access to unsecured firearms is deadly for people who are struggling. This is an important message for all gun owners to hear. And we hope the Plantation will make our Be Smart message part of the city's campaign to keep our children and other vulnerable people in our community safe. We will also be holding a vigil on Saturday at 10 a.m. at the City of Sunrise Amphitheater to honor the lives taken in Buffalo and Uvalde, where you will meet others who want to make sure another family does not have to face the same tragedy. If you want to continue to be updated on gun safety actions, I ask you to text ACT, A-C-T, to 64433. I would also like to personally thank the city on behalf of my school, Tropical Elementary, for the increased police officers at our school today. We do appreciate the support. Thank you again for declaring June 3rd, 2022, National Gun Violence Awareness Day in Plantation.
Can you tell us who's with you?
Yes. I have Nancy Fry, a local lead from Broward, and we have Debbie Mendelson, a wonderful volunteer, and Lucy, our communications lead and social lead in Broward County. And I also, Nancy's son, who's over here wearing his shirt. Oh, you can come up. You want to come up, Dylan?
Before we take a picture, we're going to ask Chief Harrison to come up. Okay? Chief? There. Did you have anything you wanted to say about the safety of the schools, Chief?
My hearts go out to the families. Such a tragedy. But I received a phone call from the mayor yesterday afternoon, and her concern for what happened over at the elementary school in Texas. And my thoughts were already going, and she had asked if we had planned on doing any additional presence at all our schools, and I said absolutely. And then later on that afternoon, I got a request from the school board. But I'll tell you, the mayor was on top of it before that. And I personally was out there today and actually stopped by Tropical on my way to South Plantation in Seminole. I had to throw that out there. But we're going to continue this presence for some time. And our officers, our detectives, you may not see the patrol car, but the unmarked units, we're putting our lights on occasion, showing that we're out there. It's just tragic. It hurts us as well. So, thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mayor, did you want to say anything? Or just take a picture? Okay. Chief, you want to take a picture with us?
Sure.
And if everybody could just clap for the Moms Demand Action, maybe on top of that.
Want to speak
Yeah,
while they're going?
a little tighter.
While you're taking a picture, Councilmember Andrea would like to make a comment. We'll just go ahead and keep on posing for the picture, but go ahead.
Okay.
We have a director back here.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Ms. Reed, and I just appreciate all of the activism
Thank you,
and
Mayor.
the volunteer hours that all of you put into this. And similar to what you said, I appreciate the proclamation, and I know that Councilmember Horland does this annually, and I always support that. I wear orange, but what else can we do? I would love for our mayor and our chief to make a commitment to do a gun buyback program tonight. What else can we do? If we get one gun off of the street,
Exactly.
I think that would make an impact. One. Much
Yes.
less several.
Yes.
But what else can we do? We donate, we pray, we cry, we get angry, as I think Councilmember Horland said. What else can we do?
We need to use our hearts to vote. We have to have a singular voice. I say I vote orange. I vote for people that I know are going to protect the most vulnerable, which are children. We want to have people that are going to represent the majority of Americans that are begging for changes, as easy as universal background checks. That is something that we can do. The state of Florida is one of maybe a couple dozen, I believe, states. Is it about 27 states that currently have red flag laws, the risk protection orders? I'm very proud to be part of a state that does have that, and that's because of a movement after Parkland where we came to common sense laws together, and it's going to take all of us to make a difference. We need to stop this division because we all want to protect our children. Yes.
I'll just take a point of privilege for a second since we're talking about voting. Moms Demand Action, we do have a website, gunsensevoter.com, and you can look up for your locality all of the candidates that we have gone through, we've done the research on, and have found them to be in favor of gun violence prevention, are going to pass those laws that we need passed to protect our children. I also want to put out a quick statistic. Gun violence has now become the leading cause of death of children in the United States. Yes. I know we were talking about auto accidents earlier. That was the number one cause up until 2020, and now it's gun violence is the number one cause of death for children in the U.S.
We must do better.
So I would encourage anyone that's registered to vote, please register to vote if you're not registered to vote, and once you're registered to vote, check Gun Sense Voter. Please vote for these candidates that will do what's right when in office. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bright.
Chief, did you want to have a final word?
With the gun buyback, anyone that wishes to turn a weapon in can do so at any given time at the police department. So if they want to get rid of a weapon, we'll take it and we'll destroy it. One of the bigger pieces here is gun safety education. And what I mean by that is if you own a gun and you put it in your car, don't leave it in your car. And better yet, Don't leave your car unlocked, even one above, and have the key fob in the car too. So that happens. As simple as putting it in a safe that your children don't have the combination to. If you have a weapon that you put in your nightstand, have it locked, a gun lock, and we're giving those gun locks out, by the way, in our back-to-school barbecue, I believe is in July. The group will be out there for that. But really, it's keeping the weapons safe and secure. So that's where I would go with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, I think that concludes. Does it?
Good evening. I will be brief. Phil Goodrich, Director of Parks and Recreation. This weekend, Saturday the 28th, we have a USTA Level 6 Junior Tennis Tournament at the Veltri Tennis Center. Monday the 30th, we obviously have observance for Memorial Day at Veterans Park, 9:30 a.m. That program will start. Saturday, June 4th through August 27th, we have free yoga in the parks, but it'll be held only at Jim Ward Community Centers during this time frame. There will be no class on July 23rd, but for the basic main part of the summer, we are going to be hosting that at Jim Ward Community Center from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. We have a swim meet June 3rd through the 5th at the Plantation Aquatics Complex. Saturday, June 4th and 5th, we have the Heritage Horse Show final season finale at the Equestrian Center. We do have open registration for PAL programming, tackle football and cheerleading, and flag football. And we have a couple of new classes to announce. We have Tippy Toes, tap ballet, toddler dance, hip hop classes at the Plantation Community Center Tuesdays at 5:15 and Wednesdays at 11:15 a.m. Lastly, we have a kids art class for 8 to 15-year-olds. Kids will explore different mediums of arts and crafts. That'll be at the Plantation Community Center Thursdays at 5:15. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goodrich. And now we're going to circle back to Jeff Ambrose, our actuary for the City of Plantation Pension Plans. Jeff, thanks for waiting. Come on up.
Good evening, Council, Mayor, City Attorney. My name is Marcus Hurt. I am the General Employees Chairperson. And on behalf of my fellow fire and police pension boards, we are excited to bring up Jeffrey Ambrose here, who is our actuary for all three pension boards, and give a state of the union for our pension board. So we really appreciate this opportunity. And with that,
excellent.
Let me go ahead and load up your...
Perfect. Thank you, Marcus. See, you bring the actuary up and the room clears out. It's pretty good, huh? Well, good evening, everyone. It's nice to be here with you this evening. Thank you for the opportunity. Again, my name is Jeff Ambrose, actuary with Gabriel Roda Smith & Company, the largest actuarial firm in the United States for the public sector. We prepare the annual valuation reports for the three city-sponsored pension plans, and we talk about that in depth with all three pension boards. So they're very involved, and these meetings are not short, and it's rough to listen to me for that amount of time. But today what I'd like to do is just provide a brief overview of the three pension plans sponsored by the City of Plantation. These plans are defined benefit pension plans which pay members a monthly benefit when they retire from the city. Defined benefit pension plans are very common in the public sector, and almost all of the surrounding cities to Plantation sponsor a defined benefit pension plan. The items I'd like to discuss with you today are the current costs for each of the three pension plans, short-term cost pressures. Where are the costs going in the short term for the city? Are they going up, down? And then we'll talk about projections of where those costs are going in the long term. So with that being said, let's start with the General Employees Pension Plan. And you'll see, if you can move that down a little bit, just to the top of the page, or the other way, I'm sorry. My up is your down. So the current, just to get everyone on the same page, the current annual required city contribution for the City of Plantation General Employees Pension Plan is 22.88% of covered payroll, which equates to $7.3 million. The This reflects a couple of changes that the board just recently adopted in their 2021 valuation report. First, there were changes in the actual assumptions based on a recent experience study report that we had done, and that included lowering the investment return assumption from 7.3% down to 6.75%. And second, there was a fresh start of the asset value, which we'll discuss more in a little bit. The required city contribution could be broken up into two pieces, and it's easy to see. It's very transparent. The first piece is the employer normal cost, and that's at the top of the page. And this just represents the value of the accruals from the active members each year. And in general, this is going to stay very level as a percentage of payroll, as you'll see in a minute it did. The normal cost for this pension plan is 11.06% of covered payroll, or about $3.53 million. The second piece of the required city contribution are the amortization payments on the unfunded accrued liability. And what this represents is when there are gains or losses or assumption changes or method changes, the unfunded accrued liability can move up or down quite significantly. But the city doesn't pay for that change all in the year it happens. It pays for it over a 20-year period of time. So the amortization payments on the unfunded accrued liability in this plan is 11.82% of payroll, or $3.77 million. Also, as of October 1, 2021, the funded ratio, how much of the liability is covered by the plan assets, is 92.7%, and the unfunded accrued liability is $17 million. These metrics reflect the assumption change and the fresh start of the assets. So let's talk about the fresh start of the assets, and this is really the only technical point I'll get into. Everything else will be sort of high level. But before the fresh start of assets, the funded ratio was 83.3%, and the unfunded accrued liability was $39 million based on the smooth value of assets. The real asset value, referred to as the market value of assets, was $22 million higher than the smooth value of assets. This $22 million represented deferred investment gains that were going to be recognized by the plan over the next 4 years, no matter what, but instead they were recognized immediately. Essentially, the fresh start of assets simply expedited the recognition of those deferred investment gains, which would have been recognized anyway over the next 4 years. So now let's look at the chart on the bottom of the page. And here we show what is going to happen to the required city contribution over the next 20 years. So you'll see, and this is an estimate. The green line represents the projected city required contribution, which starts out, again, fiscal year ending 2023 at 22.88% of pay. And again, we're going to look at the two components of the required contribution. The first piece is the normal cost, represented by that blue line. Very level as a percentage of payroll, right around 11% of payroll. The second piece is the amortization payments on the unfunded accrued liability. And that starts off at 11.82% of payroll. And as the current unfunded accrued liability is paid off, it goes down. And it'll continue to go down until all those bases are paid off. And actually, it's going to be paid off quicker than 20 years, actually in 11 years, because the plan will be in a surplus position by then. So essentially, over the next 20 years, or actually 11 years, the current unfunded accrued liability of $17 million will be fully paid off, and the employer contribution will decrease to the normal cost, which is about 11% of pay. And it actually will be a little less than 11% of pay because of Tier 2 members entering the system. So it's important to note that our projections assume no future gains and losses. They assume that those all offset each other. If the board was using aggressive actuarial assumptions, I would say that there's not a high likelihood of these gains and losses canceling out over the next 20 years. But this is not the case. We just did an experience study. We're using a very reasonable 6.75% investment return assumption. So all of that being said, this chart shows what the estimate is for the future required city contributions, provided that gains and losses over the long term cancel each other out. So let's go to the next page, section 3, and here just showing some basic information about the plan as of October 1, 2021. You'll see there were 549 active members of the plan, 490 retirees, and 56 members who were inactive and had a right to a future benefit. Also, the fund has grown to $219 million. These assets were under $100 million just 10 years ago, so they've over doubled, which is very significant. Section 5 covers the future required city contribution. As you probably already know, the investment returns for this fiscal year that we're in have been very weak, not just for this pension plan, but you see it, anytime you turn on the news channel, you can see what's going on with the financial markets. If there are significant investment losses in the current year, which looks likely to occur, I want to talk about two things. First, any investment losses that occur in the pension plan are smoothed. We only recognize 20% of any loss that occurs during the year, just like we only reflected 20% of the gains. So that'll be smooth over the next 5 years. Second, and this is important, the required city contribution will decrease by $1 million in next year's report as a result of several amortization payments being fully paid off. So this will serve as an offset to any increases that we have in the required contribution due to actuarial losses. Finally, let's look at Section 6, and this shows the required city contribution for this pension plan over the last 10 years. And you'll notice two things about this. The required city contribution has been in a pretty tight range over the past 10 years, at least it's subjective, but I would consider it pretty tight, from 22.88% at the low and 29.66% as a high. And note that the most recent year, 2023, is the lowest contribution rate for the city in the last 10 years. So that's another positive. So now let's just shift gears and talk about the police officers' pension plan. And here we see that the current required, thank you, Marcus, current required contribution for the city for this pension plan is $6.9 million, or 56.09% of payroll. Again, the required contribution can be broken up into two pieces. First piece, the normal cost, a little bit over 27% of payroll, or $3.4 million. And the second is the amortization payments on the unfunded accrued liability at 35.79% of pay, or $4.41 million. The funded ratio is at 79.2% as of October 1, 2021, and the unfunded accrued liability is at $42.3 million. Excuse me. As the $42.3 million unfunded accrued liability is paid off, the required city contribution will migrate down to the normal cost less the state contribution, which is about 25% of payroll. So that's what's going to happen, provided we have the assumption set in a way where gains and losses cancel each other out over the next 20 or 30 years. So now let's look at the estimate of the required city contribution in future years, shown in the chart on the bottom of the page. The green line, again, represents the projected required city contribution, which starts out at 56% of payroll, and it is expected to decrease quite significantly over the next number of years to below the blue line, which is the normal cost, and that's because as we pay off the current unfunded accrued liability, the required contribution, again, will migrate to the normal cost less the state contribution. That's why you're seeing the required city contribution a little bit less than that blue line. Our projection assumes future gains and losses, again, will cancel each other out. Same thing with the general employees pension plan. We have the assumption set such that there is a high likelihood that we will have gains and losses canceling each other out over the long term. A few more things. Section 3 shows some statistics in the plan. Active police officers as of October 1, 2021, 129. Retirees, 182. Section 5 covers the future required city contributions. Again, we know the investment returns for the fiscal year have been pretty weak. S&P 500 is down as of a few hours ago, 8% fiscal year to date. The plan may be a little bit worse than that because of the return on fixed income. But if there's significant investment losses in the current year, which looks likely to happen, two important things, different than the general plan, but two important things. First one's the same. We're going to smooth any investment losses that occur in this plan. Recognize 20% this year and 20% each of the next 4 years. Second, different than the Plantation general plan, there has been no fresh start of assets in this plan, so there are $28.2 million of deferred investment gains. Very significant. These gains will be used to offset future investment losses. To give you an idea, if these investment gains were just immediately recognized, the required city contribution for fiscal year ending 2023 would decrease from 56% of pay down to under 40% of pay, so over a $2 million reduction. And the funded ratio, which is at 79% of pay, would increase to 93% of pay, 93%. Finally, Section 6 shows the required city contributions over the past 10 years. Two things to note in this section. The required city contribution rate has ranged from 56.09% of pay to 69.65% of pay. And again, the most recent required city contribution is the lowest in the last 10 years. So finally, let's close with the Plantation Fire Plan. There's really not too much to discuss in this plan from a cost perspective, as the plan is funded solely from investment earnings and state money. There's been no city contribution made to this pension plan since 1988. The funded ratio for this plan is over 140% as of October 1, 2021, before the discretionary share plan allocation was made, and it decreased to 135.7% after the allocation. Of all the plans I work on, I have 130 pension plans on my team. This is certainly top 5 in terms of funded ratio. So I'm sorry to go through some of the technical things, but I think it's good just to sort of go through that with you at a high level at least, and now I'm happy to field any questions or concerns anyone has.
Can we just get a copy of this presentation?
I think it's in our backup material.
I didn't.
It should be if you click on the...
Mine's blank.
Yes, I'm sorry.
It's there. It should be.
Thank you.
Mr. President, may I go ahead?
Where it's not?
Yeah, on my iPad it is.
Are you on iLegislate?
Yeah.
I'm on the regular website. It's not.
So my name need to be loaded onto the website?
Councilmember,
Hold
I'm looking down and trying to read
Okay.
who's up and blinking, and it is you.
Thank you. Mr.
Thanks for
Chairman-
reminding me your
Yeah,
name.
no, that's all right. We got thrown off there. First of all, I'm so thrilled you're here.
Thank you.
I'm asking for you to come because I think it's important for the public to understand how well managed our pensions have been and how well funded. And you made a comment the other day at the police pension board. That $28.2 million that we are smoothing.
Yes.
Didn't you say that even though we were in a strong stock market, investment-wise, didn't you say that was amongst the highest that you had seen in the plans you mentioned?
That is a large amount of deferred investment gains that will be recognized over the next 4 years, yes.
And again, I just think it's really important for people to understand how well-funded these plans are and how healthy they are.
Sure. If we look at the real asset value,
Right.
market value of assets, and the liability, both plans are 92 and 93% funded.
Which is not
So that-
common in-
I'd love to have 92 and 93% of my mortgage paid off, but yes.
Thank you. I just
You're
wanted
very
to
welcome.
clarify that.
Sure.
Councilmember Sorrell?
Mine's easier from up 30,000 feet. If you're us, should we be feeling good or bad right now?
Well, I mean, as of October 1, you should be feeling very good. That's the statistics I went through.
May 25th.
What's that?
I mean, May 25th.
As of May 25th, look, the financial markets have turned around. A lot of the direction of the required city contribution will be dictated by the financial markets that they're invested in. I will tell you, an unbelievable amount of time goes into the investment decisions from all 3 boards. They take it very seriously. They are dealing with a lot of money. They're fiduciaries to the pension plan. They're doing things in the best interest of the members of the plan. But I can't sit here before you and tell you that the required contribution is not going to go up, because if the markets essentially go down, it will be made up with by required city contributions.
And you did lower the expectation rate.
That we did, because, and that's why I could tell you that, since we have a 6.75% return assumption, and all of our assumptions are in line with what we project the experience to be, that as we pay off that current bill, that current unfunded accrued liability, the costs will migrate to the normal costs, which again, a little bit, 25% to pay in the police plan, and I think 11% of pay in the general plan. That will happen if the gains and losses cancel each other out over the long period
And a
of time.
quick note to the public, these meetings are open, be involved, come and see them, come and see where the money's going.
Sure,
Yes. Sit there. A rather quick take, obviously, is a loss hurts more than a gain helps. If you have 100K and you lose 25%, you have to make 33% back just to get your 100K.
100%, yeah. So you lose 50%, you got to gain 100% to get back to the same point. Agreed. But pension plans are not in it for the next 2 or 3 years. This is in perpetuity. So it's a very valid point. But look what happened from 2000 through 2009. The returns were awful. The pension plans have more than come back over the last 13 years. So
I was going to interject, but I'm going to have Councilmember Fadgen go, and then it'll come back to me.
Real quick, you said 93% for the police pension?
if you use the real asset value, if you use the smooth value of assets, it's 79%.
Okay, because they did fresh start.
They did not fresh start, exactly right.
What's their unfunded liability?
$42 million, and that's based on the smooth value of assets. That's 20% unfunded is the $42 million.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Jeff. It's been a while since I've seen you. I served on the firefighter pension board for years. The percent of pay, is that a percent of their full salary?
Yeah, it's a percent of their pensionable earnings. So there
That's
are,
what I wanted to
yes.
distinguish. And
So
it
there are
says-
differences between their total pay and pensionable earnings. They pay member contributions on their pensionable earnings. So that I believe there's, especially in the police plan, there's some caps on overtime that are put into place.
Put into plan.
Yeah,
But
so
it's
they get paid
essentially
that
like their
money.
set salary and a few other things are put in, but
Correct.
not necessarily everything.
Not necessarily everything, that's right.
And the term, I think it was the 6.7%, the assumed
6.75 investment return assumption? Yes.
How would you compare that assumption compared to your other city plans?
Perfect. Yeah. Again, we have 130 pension plans that we are the actuary for, and the average for those plans is probably right around 7%, maybe a little bit lower, 6.95. So
we're on
you
the
are more conservative side
not a lot,
from
but
the
we're
average.
on more conservative side.
Exactly.
But still, the rest of them are fairly conservative as well. They're not picking 9% or something.
None at that level, but we have some plans that are using 7.5, 7.25, and we're working with them to try to get that assumption more, in line with reality. Because if not, I can't sit before a commission and say, hey, as you pay off this unfunded accrued liability, the cost should migrate to the normal cost. Because if you have aggressive assumptions, as you pay off your current unfunded accrued liability, you're going to generate new unfunded accrued liability. Now, I'm not saying that here because I think we have a very reasonable 6.75% assumption.
Marcus, I'm going to ask another question. If it's too long, we can skip it. Go back to the graph with the red and green. What got us into the situation that set us up so high to have to pay back so much further back in time?
Okay. So the question is, essentially, the blue line is a normal cost. That's the value of the accruals. Why do we have that other component, which is the red cost? The red plus the blue equals the green.
Right.
So why do we have that? Because there were things that happened. There were gains and losses. That's one component of it. There were plan changes. There were assumption changes. Again, those all don't get paid for in the year they happen. They get spread over 20 years in this plan. So that's what's contributing to that. When I say that we have the assumption set that we have a good chance of having the gains and losses offset each other, if that happens, but the plan changes, well, then my comment is not valid anymore. So
it's growing pains with the plans, all the changes, and now we've been set for a while, and we're paying it down. And
exactly right.
The moral of the story. Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. There were several years where the city made no contributions whatsoever.
Yeah. Which is now not allowed according to Florida statute. The city must contribute that 11%. So even if
that
we
would
don't
put us in more of a deficit, which we've been paying off.
That's right.
That's basically thanks for doing that in a nutshell. I appreciate it. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Thanks, Jeff.
You're very welcome. Take care.
Thank you.
It's nice seeing you all. Yep.
Okay. Do we need a motion on any of those? No, we do not. I'm just looking. Nope. Okay, so we're up to public. Our audience has shrunk. Public requests of council regarding municipal affairs. Those who wish to speak, please state your name and your address. As you please address your remarks through the chair, not directly to a council member or to the mayor, and kindly keep your remarks to the allotted 3 minutes. Does any member in the chambers or online wish to address the council? Mr. Conklin, come on up. I just couldn't imagine you not coming up tonight.
Dennis Conklin, 4581 Northwest 6th Court. Heavenly Host protect you and your families. Likewise, Heavenly Host protect you and your families. Had a lot of disturbing comments because of the news and conditions today, but for a little brightness, tomorrow is the Feast of the Ascension of Jesus Christ, our Savior. Day 799 of the SARS-CoV-2 virus lockdown and mandates, which still harm our military, medical professionals, and school children. I urge you again to go to Dr. Naomi Wolf's www.dailyclout.io website. When you go there, click on the Pfizer Documents Analysis War Room. I want to encourage the city to join with other municipalities, other forms of government, and get after this because the fraud that was committed lays everything available to recover your costs. There was mentioned earlier in the proclamation for the retiring principal that her daughter was learning speech technology and pathology.
Speech-language pathology, yes.
And that's one of the gravest situations that's impaired our children. The schools have masked the children. The masks don't work. They know that. And now they're forcing a lot of the people that are still being forced to take the jab. The previous comments were also made of an increase in cases. The increased cases and excess deaths match the vaccine take-up dates when they expire. I mentioned before that Dr. Ryan Cole mentioned that because the jab uses the same spike and also the lipid nanoparticles, it causes a deranged immune syndrome. And that's what's taking place. Basically what's happening is the more jab you take, the more you cannot, with your own God-given immune system, defeat the existence. Back in the 60s, the WHO had a song, Won't Get Fooled Again. And right now they're pulling this monkeypox thing and association with smallpox. If you check with your doctors, you might want to ask them about nitazoxanide, nitazoxanid. It works for smallpox and for the monkeypox. I'm not a doctor, so I'm just saying check with your own doctors. But I was here with the hydroxychloroquine and the ivermectin, and that worked, and the jab doesn't. So I yield back my time.
Give me another negative, Dennis. Yielding a negative time. Okay. Any other member of the public, online or in person, wish to address the council? Come on up. Ms. Gelfand, come on up.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
Slowly but surely.
You're doing fine.
It's tiring. Vicki Gelfand, 9381 Northwest 18th Place in the beautiful city of Plantation, my home for over 40 years. I'm not bringing up the 8601.
We can take a breather on that.
Shock, huh? Yeah, I know. Don't
Just
let
a
your hair
breath,
go
only
gray
one.
on it. I have just a couple of questions. Looking up at our lighting, the city must pay a lot of money to FPL every month for all our buildings and everything like that. Wouldn't it behoove us to do a study, or behoove you, to see what it would cost to turn fluorescent into LED? Just asking. Mr. Holmes, these are just comments from tonight. Mr. Holmes spoke of reworking the city webpage as it's very difficult to navigate. Difficult is a very kind word when he went home. It's impossible some days. That's one. And with the rules on Airbnb, I'm just curious, does the city override what private communities have? We put in something like that in our documents, and somebody said, well, if the city can do it, we can do it. Now I'm just a little concerned about that. I'm not sure how it works.
I'm not sure of your question.
My question, if we have it in our documents, can the city override it versus our private community documents, that we aren't allowing Airbnb?
The state is overruling us, and I think we can overrule you, but I'm not an attorney.
Me neither. It's amazing. There's only one up there, and he hasn't said a word. No, I'll talk to him after the meeting. The other thing is somebody put something on Facebook today, and they said they spoke to the city clerk with regards to a special election next March because Councilman Sorrell put in to run for mayor. They said that there's something in that, and I'd like to know, and this person, I don't know if he's right or wrong, but I guess I'm asking, is that true, that it would cost the city over $125,000 for an election for one seat? That's it. Can I come back later and get all my answers? Thank you.
Sure. I don't remember your name, but I know you've addressed us before.
Yes. Hi, I'm Sam Corman.
Yes.
Sam Corman, 11095 Whitehawk Street, and I come before you today in person, finally, very exciting, with a simple request. Don't let politics get in the way of government. I would like to reference something that Councilmember Sorrell mentioned a while back. We want the best for the city. Our current elected officials will not be in their positions forever. We should recognize problems that might arise in future candidates and in future councils and act to prevent them now. We are in the beginning of a new election cycle. Mayor Stoner and Councilmember Sorrell, two of our most prominent sources of city information on social media, are challenging each other for the position of mayor. During the campaign, the two of them are going to try to convince the public to vote for them. Elections are full of persuasive political rhetoric. You all have every right to campaign as you see fit. But it would be a problem if you used your current office's communication to campaign against one another. In the future, we might have candidates, not you all, that campaign with animosity. And official city news should not be politicized. And so I urge the council to pass legislation that requires elected officials to publish all updates and news about the city through official city channels. For example, if an article is being published in the Sun Sentinel about the news that happens during our city council meetings, it should be presented either by the city of Plantation or by the entirety of the city council. At minimum, currently elected officials should not be able to use the spread of official city news during an election cycle. We already have incumbent advantage. City officials should not be able to further benefit in an election for just doing their job. This is especially the case when two officials are running for the same position. Until the election is over, these officials must work together. Now, this would not prevent currently elected officials from writing about what happens during city council meetings. They may draft whatever they wish. It only ensures that what is put out on Facebook represents the official, unified views of the city, not tawdry political campaigning. Now, this is not the first time that I have made a request of the council in this regard. Last year, I had a lengthy email chain with a member of the council who declared that they only put out information from their personal account because the city does not do it. Now, this is an opportunity to allow the city to revolutionize its communication. Not only will this streamline city information, making it easier for citizens to find information about the city, it would also make abiding by public records requirements much easier. And indeed, Mr. Ezrell should be able to verify that maintaining public records is an obligation of the city. Communication is a public good. All of the elected officials we have here are here to serve our interests. We should not allow their current positions to serve them. Act now before we have any politicized official communication, and don't let politics get in the way of government. Just like Dennis, I yield back my time.
Does any other member of the public wish to address the council? I see a couple hands up online. Anybody in the council chambers? Let's go online for a minute. I can't, does it say owner? I can't read it from here.
Someone named owner.
It does say owner.
Hi,
Hi, owner.
Nicole Alabaster, 401 East Mount Vernon Drive. Good evening. I believe all the councilmen received an email from me about the goings-on of last weekend in Plantation Acres South, about the rentals of a house and the party that was going on with the 600 to 700 children that showed up because of the ad on social media. Did anyone receive this?
Yes, I'm sure. I assume we all did.
Yes, Ms. Alabaster, and I responded to your email. I think we all received it.
Yes, you did. You were the only one. Okay, so just a quick overview. There was an ad posted on social media with one of the houses in the Acres, which I can provide you with the address if you did not get the email. They were serving liquor to kids. They were charging admission, which brought in to 600 to 700 children, which put speeding cars in the neighborhood, There were kids that were harassing and threatening people in the neighborhood. It left litter everywhere. They were parking in everyone's yard and in the park, Terra Park. They were urinating in people's yards and houses. Multiple calls went into Plantation Police. It started at about 2100, and this didn't wrap up until about midnight. Is there anything we can do about these houses? There's 3 houses in Plantation South that I know of that have been renting for parties. One of these houses has been doing it for at least 5 years with multiple calls to the police per night, and it hasn't stopped.
Ma'am, hi, this is Chief Harrison with the Police Department. We were aware of that. We were not aware of that until we got the phone call. Unfortunately, this isn't the first time we've dealt with an Airbnb or a VBRO. It's on our radar now, and we have ways of getting those advertisements for the these type of parties. And in fact, there is one in the North Acres coming up that we've already gotten a head start on. We're monitoring this particular area, and as the original ad stated, or maybe it's been updated, that there's a part 2 to this. So once we're aware of things like this, we work with the Planning and Zoning Department, and we have actually shut these things down before they even get started. So if we're anticipating a party of that nature, I'll have police officers sitting in the driveway turning all those people away. Then we'll get with the owner of the house and let them know that, and again, a lot of the times we'll get, oh, well, I didn't know that it was well, you should know, it's your house. So there are ways of dealing with them. But yes, ma'am, we do have this on our radar, and we will be, if there's another event, we'll have a head start on it, and we'll shut it down before it starts. If you have any questions for me, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Is she? Okay. Okay, thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. We have another person on the line.
Max Goldstein.
Max Goldstein. Max, she's unmuting you. Go ahead when you're ready.
Hey there, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you. Come on, go ahead.
Awesome, thank you. So I want to talk for a couple minutes about the vacation rentals, because I think that this is it's a topic that's been building up over years and years and years, and it has a lot of trends that are probably going in the wrong direction. But it's a very big complaint that a lot of residents have, and I've heard it a lot myself. There's different kinds of tourist or vacation rentals. Of course, there's the Airbnb, or the locals who want to host parties in an Airbnb instead of their own house, but that's a very minor percentage of the people who choose to use Airbnb. Most of them are just normal people on vacation who want to visit Broward County. And Plantation, of course, because we're in a very central location, we've got Sawgrass Mall, we've got Broward Mall, we're pretty close to the beach, we're close to Fort Lauderdale, so we're a very desirable area for people to have their base for their vacation, for them to actually stay for the night, because we're close to many of these other things. And just like we have supply and demand for housing, where the reason that housing costs are going through the roof is because we don't have the supply for them, the same thing is happening with hotels. So because we don't have enough supply of hotel rooms in Broward County, that demand still manifests itself, in this case as Airbnbs. So what this entire situation tells me is that we honestly need to build more hotels, not just in Plantation, of course, no reason for us to take the entire burden of Broward County, but that we've been underbuilding hotel rooms for so many years because many people don't want to live close to hotels, of course. Like, no one wants to be neighbors with a Hilton or a Marriott or one of those things. But because we're not building them, we're unfortunately opening ourselves up to this massive demand for Airbnbs. So if we want to start mitigating Airbnbs, of course we can regulate them, we can ask them to register, we can use our programs and our tools that we have available. but we should also be building more hotel rooms. And this is getting to be more and more urgent every year. I just saw an article that was retweeted by, I think, the mayor of Broward County, Mayor Udine, where the number of tourists who are projected to come to Broward County, it's increasing by 5 to 10% annually. So the only way to stay ahead of this is to start making more hotels, making more touristic areas for these people to go to, rather than renting an Airbnb in a residential neighborhood that people might not like. That's all from me today. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Max. Does anybody else wish to? Okay, see Dawn. Dawn, she's going to. Give 1 second. She's going to unmute you. Dawn Harris, probably. Yeah.
Same house.
Same thing.
I responded to
Hello, Dawn.
Good evening. Good evening. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead. State your
Okay, Donald Harris, 420 East Mount Vernon Drive in the South Acres also. Nicole got cut off before she was finished. The one other point all the folks down here that are listening in together wanted to let you know, and the chief especially. The other address, 11252 Southwest 3rd Street.
Chief is nodding his head.
I'm sorry?
The chief is nodding his head. He's aware of it.
Oh, okay. That one's been going on for a number of years with multiple calls going on. Just recently, they hosted an event where they actually papered our neighborhood ahead of time with a flyer with a picture of a nun on it cooking, saying that it was an event to raise money for a certain nun charity. Well, it went on until well after midnight. Old Hiatus Road from the dead end all the way north to Broward Boulevard was packed with cars. Once again, the bottles, the cups, everything else going on. They were selling jerk chicken and other things outside. And that one's been going on for a number of years. So we just want to make sure that, that one's been years. And we hear, even not on that street, several streets south, we get to hear that one not only on the weekends, but even on weekday nights. I don't know the ownership of that one. I know the other one that we were speaking of is owned by a business, and that comes back to another address in Davie, and we haven't really tracked it further than that. But this one on 3rd has been going on for a long time. So we just want to make sure everybody's aware of that one. I didn't address that one in the letter that I sent to you all, but I believe some of the other neighbors did. And that's all I have for you guys, unless somebody's got a follow-up for me on it.
Thank you, Don. I don't think anybody's got a follow-up, and thanks for sending your concerns and sharing your concerns and emailing us. Okay. I don't see any other members of the public or online. So anybody else? Last chance. Okay, this concludes the requests of the council concerning municipal affairs. And now we're going to move on to the consent agenda. It consists of items number 7 through 15, and they may be approved with one motion. Does any member of the council wish to pull an item? Does any member of the public wish to pull an item? Okay. So then can I
approve the consent agenda?
Items 7 through 15?
Items 7 through 15.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Andrew?
Yes.
Councilmember Fadgen?
Yes.
Councilmember Horland?
Yes.
Councilmember Sortle?
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes. Now we're all the way down to quasi-judicial item number 16. And it is, this has been requested deferred to July 20th meeting. Is that correct, Ann? Is that still, yes? So, Attorney Ezra, just help me. Do we have to vote, motion and vote to defer?
My understanding is that this matter is going to be re-advertised, so it really doesn't...
It doesn't matter because it would have to...
To note the request, we brought up previously the Jupiter Inlet case. I believe it was at the last meeting where there's a pending appeal to the 4th District Court of Appeal, which really calls into question the practice of tabling an item to a time certain relating to these items. So we've cautioned against doing that. You don't need to take any action on this particular item. It's going to be re-advertised.
Okay. So then we're already up to comments by council members. So, I don't know which end we want to start that way. Mayor, would you like to start? Sure. Councilmember Fadgen, would you like to go?
Thank you. Okay, last call, the General Employee Pension Board vacancy. Can get your application and your resume submitted by the 31st. And I believe at our next meeting, we're going to start going through the resumes, figure out who we're going to interview. So if you have any interest or you know someone would be a good person to serve on that board, let them know. Last week, we went to the police department, and I met with Debbie Geller, who's our victims advocate. She gave me an hour. Extraordinary person. Learned a lot about what we do for the victims. Just another person that we're lucky to have. She actually got honored by the State Attorney General's Office 2021 Distinguished Victim Services Awards, and they only gave out 3 in the entire state. So we got someone special working for us and helping people when they need help. Also last week I went out, took a tour of the city with Interim Director Danny Polio, and we went out to Lift Station 3, it's coming along, looked at some pipelining, went to different lift stations, so just learned a little bit more about utilities, and I appreciate your time, Danny. I think we spent the whole morning together up until lunch, so that was fantastic. No, I wanted to drive the one of those bulldozers, but that was a contractor, so they were hesitant. So, but next time, right?
Tractor truck.
You told me you'd let me drive a like a sewage truck, right?
Come on back. We'll get you some.
We'll let you clean a lift station.
I didn't bring my boots. So, and then finally, Saturday, it's 28th, is the 4th year of the passing of my father, and my family misses him dearly, and a fast 4 years. And don't forget about the Memorial Day service. That's a really nice event in the city, and usually well attended. So if you've never been, I'd recommend coming out to that on Monday. I think at 9:30.
Yes, 9:30.
Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple of things because we have a workshop to finish. I had mentioned at the last council meeting that I wanted to bring forth the ordinances on the noise monitor for the short-term rentals, as well as the polystyrene. Unfortunately, you know that I did get sick, so I'll be submitting that to administration and the city attorney to take a look at before it comes forward. And then I just wanted to touch upon the short-term rentals. I don't want to beat a dead horse, and I typically agree with a lot that Matt says. I don't really believe it's a lack of hotel rooms. I think that what we're seeing, and I've been on the short-term rental issue for many years now, 600 people are not going to show up to a hotel room and have a party like this. So these short-term rentals are, primarily, yes, you do have the people, I've used them when I've traveled, they can be wonderful, but in residential neighborhood, if 600 people showed up to a hotel, they would get kicked out. They're abusing our residential neighborhoods, and we know that the state has tied our hands. However, in meeting with Mr. Holmes and meeting with code enforcement, what I really think that we need to start doing, Chief, and I know that you've been thinking about it, we need to start ticketing if we can tow, whatever we need to do, and I know that you're going down that road, we need to start hitting the party goers, and we need to start hitting the people that are renting these units, because it's ruining the character of our residential neighborhoods, and we're frustrated because there's not a lot that we can do at the city level to regulate them, but I think if we start putting pressure on the people visiting those homes, then that will in turn put pressure on the owners of the homes that are renting them. So it's a very frustrating situation. But anyway, I want to thank the directors that have been very generous with their time in meeting with me. Some of you I had to reschedule last week, but we'll be rescheduling those meetings about the budget process. So thank you very much. That's all.
Councilmember Andrea.
Thank you, President Anderson. Just a few questions. In terms of the Hometown Heroes program, that's late. I don't know who wants to handle this, but it's slated to begin June 1st. How are we communicating all of the details to our law enforcement officers and firefighters who are interested in learning about how they can get down payments for their first-time home buying program? I'm not sure if Ms. Morris or Mr. Nunemaker.
I'll take it only to say that we've been kind of waiting for details on this. I think when it was originally introduced, it was kind of a shell. The funding was provided, but not the details. I'd spoken previously to Officer Mercogliano when I ran into him on the incentive program that was passed, and those details still hadn't filtered down. That was on the signing bonuses and whatnot. So we'll look into it and try to get more detail on it for you.
Okay. Because I did receive some detailed information, so I just want to make sure that we share it with.
And I just saw something today, but I just saw a snippet.
Okay. And then also, I asked earlier about the tree removal because I was concerned about something I think that Ms. Morris did share with us yesterday. Again, with the state and what could be perceived as overreach, but 518 would now limit us in terms of telling property owners that they cannot remove trees?
So
Is that correct?
we already preempted right now, and there's ambiguity in a statute. So if what's been proposed is signed, it will narrow that to single-family detached homes. Right now, depending on your interpretation, it could apply more broadly. Does it apply to attached? Does it apply to common areas? So if what's proposed now, we should be in a better place and it'll be more specifically defined. But we've also had some discussions with the city attorney's office on how there's still site plans at play, there's still a city code at play, so it doesn't mean that we're completely powerless. But we'd be happy to bring that back to y'all.
Okay. And then lastly, I'd just like to acknowledge the celebration of Haitian Heritage Month this month in May. And last Wednesday, the 18th, was Haitian Flag Day, honoring the 1804 Revolution, the largest successful slave revolt in history. So we honor and celebrate our diverse culture, heritage, and contributions of our Haitian community. Thank you.
Councilmember Sorrell, go ahead.
Thank you very much. In response to the trees, I sit on the Florida League of Cities Policy Review Committee, and one of our priorities, our one legislative priority this year, was to rewrite that tree code because developers were using it. They were abusing the law. You can help me out, Councilmember Horland.
They were clear cutting, so basically, Mr. Nunemaker is correct, they did preempt us on that.
Yep.
And what happened is developers were starting to clear cut, and what happened, the legislature did listen to the League of Cities, and
Yes.
they did narrow the scope, so it's actually, we're in a slightly better position now with that, slightly better.
I'd like to say I had a lot to do with the writing of that, but I did not. I simply voted yes. There's a lot of bright people on those committees, and that's how we learn. I suggest everybody follows. A couple other things. Art Kane was just here. He was an older man sitting right here. He's greatly concerned about recycling and where our stuff's going. So am I, and I'm going to try to reach him and update him a little bit, and maybe somebody from staff. We can. Yes. Yes. There's a lot of questions. Where's our recycling going? Is it getting used? And now with the county thing in play too. Yeah, it's a good question. 6 p.m. council meetings next month. I thought we meet at 6 next month. Usually we have workshops and everything. Is that right that we're meeting at 6? We can come back and check later. 6. There's no workshops or anything in June? Okay, I'm good. This is a question kind of related to Sunshine. Mayor, I know you're going to walk North Acres Park on May 31st with the Acres people. If it doesn't rain.
At the HOA meeting, they stated you were, so.
Okay, so
Somebody needs to tell me where I'm walking.
It's on your schedule. That's the North Acres trip.
yeah. So the question is, in terms of Sunshine and everything, can we join that, or are we violating Sunshine if we go along?
You can go along, but you can't talk.
There you go.
That's probably best anyway. That's a good decision by you. Last thing, League of Cities is in August. As you know, I don't know if you're paying for us to go to League of Cities. I don't know if you're paying for the hotel. The hotel's in Hallandale Beach, which seems a little bit wasteful to pay for us to go to the hotel.
Get an Airbnb.
But I'm just trying to find out up front, because if so, I might get a night.
Still have your budget.
Your budget.
Monies.
Okay.
That everybody gets every year. And if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's there, so, you
Okay.
want to spend the weekend at the hotel and not.
I've probably used most of mine, because I've gone to other things. I went to emo early, well, no, new budget year. Isn't it? Well, it'll be August.
Oh, you said August. All right, we can just check.
I'll use Jennifer's and.
You can use mine. If we're allowed to share, you can use mine.
Okay, that's my final question, and thank you all very much. And I'm very proud of police for the way you're staffing the schools, and Ramat Shalom Synagogue sent out a nice note, and yeah, thank you.
Councilmember Sordo, just for clarification, because I wrote in my notes earlier that there was a workshop on June 22nd, and you just said.
I'm going by plantation.org.
Someone said that earlier.
I think the mayor mentioned Colliers was going to make a presentation, but it'll be during our regularly scheduled meeting. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Nunemaker, I didn't hear who it was.
We just asked the folks from Colliers to come do a market update for the city of Plantation, but it'll occur during the regular scheduled meeting.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything? I hopefully I'll.
Go back to the meeting.
That's right. Did we go back? You wanted more time, and you were first. Let's. What? Mike. Yes, it does.
It's okay. Go finish the budget.
Do you want to say anything? No, Okay, just hopefully we'll see you at the Memorial Day services at 9:30 at our. Is it Veterans Park? Veterans Park. I was going to say Memorial Park. It's Veterans Park. Yeah. Okay, so you're good.
Did you check with Bill as to dress code? Are you allowed to come in shorts?
Shannon was here and she emailed us that it just said red, white, and blue, I think. Why are you asking that? Why?
It's sort of a joke
Oh.
about Phil showing up with like.
But he's not the dignitary. He's in the background. He's making it happen in the background. All right, so I'm going to adjourn the meeting.